there's been sort of a resurrection of a thought here around scoping than what I wanted to talk about today. And that is, I think there's some tools in the industry, and everybody will know who I'm talking about, that is sort of allowed scoping and estimating to get smushed into one, for lack of a better technical term, into one workflow that certainly saves time. Anytime a tool is built, it's usually in place, and I'll say Xactimate. I think that saved the industry tons and tons of time, and in terms of the amount of manual entry and everything else it would take to build an estimate. But at the same time, it may have accidentally created some bad habits around how scoping is done, and taken our eye off the ball, if you will, around the diligence of collecting the data that needs to go into the scope, which then needs to go into the estimate. And that's what I wanted to chat about today. I have seen others in the industry in various social media or blog posts talking about this very thing, that, hey, the scope's an important piece of work. It needs to be looked at separately. And I know this is something that you've always, in our previous chats, I know something that you've always held near and dear. So let's get into it. Like, David, tell me your thoughts. What's your opening statement around how we should be looking at scoping?
I would say that when we're talking about being in the field, we're going out to that structure. I don't think we often think about the fact that we're actually creating a narrative. We're creating the story of the loss. And that story is going to feed everything that comes behind that, not just the estimate, but the communication with the insured, communication with the carrier, any stakeholders. But what we do, and Jeff, you and I have talked about this before, is a lot of times we walk into a structure and we think about line items. We don't think about actually damage. And people say, well, that's the same thing, but it's not. It's not the same thing at all. If I walked in a structure and I say that I'm in the main hallway, 4 feet in from the entry, 2 feet out from the right wall, there's about 2 feet worth of water damage, or appears to be water damage. I don't presently know what the source is. That's part of the narrative. It wasn't scope. We all know what the scope might be behind that, but the rest of the narrative is going to inform what that is. Because depending on what it is, we might need containment. We might need to do more demo. We might need to figure out a drying plan because the way the building is put together. There may be a lot of things, but it's not line items. It's just a story. And I'll explain it to you like this. If you and I were walking through a loss and we were just talking about what we see, and we never talked about 64 square feet of drywall, we need 3 air movers here. If we never talked about any of that, but we just talked about the loss and we recorded that or we videoed that, the net result of that would be substantially greater than if we had walked and talked line items. Jeff, we spent years chasing the perfect scope sheet. I mean, people would call me for 20 plus years and say, David, do you have a good scope sheet? And the truth is, there is no good scope sheet because there's too many differences, right?
It's too complicated.
And what AI is doing for us is, to some degree, taking the burden of the bad scope sheet and removing it. And I think that's the most awesome thing in the world. And I don't know, I'll bet you there's not one person in our business that's been here more than 10 years who hasn't worked with some stupid scope sheet that didn't work.
Right.
And so I just think AI is changing that for us, and I'm excited. But more than anything, I just think that what you do behind the desk may be a result of what you do in the field, but what you do in the field has a greater deal of importance, not just to understand the narrative of the loss and to write that narrative, make an informed, better estimate, and make a better presentation to stakeholders that need to see that.
Mm-hmm. It's funny you mentioned the scope sheet. Like it always, a lot of times when you're looking for ways to make things better, faster, people think of, there's always that old saying, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I always like to use it, which was, if Henry Ford asked his customers what they wanted, they would have said they wanted a faster horse because that's what they knew. They knew getting around was, on a
True.
horse, and they just really what they need is a faster one. It wouldn't even occur to them to think about an internal combustion engine driving four wheels that then got them, um, got from point A to point B in a multiple of horse power ways. And the scope sheet is something that people constantly come back to, which is, and we hired an expensive consultant a long time ago to build the perfect scope sheet that we include in our. And every customer that looks at it says, "Hey, this is great, but can you just change it? Can you just make these because they're just trying to make something that they're grounded in, something that they understand, and they're trying to make it better, but just the amount of variety on a loss is just too great." So really, and you've already mentioned AI, and I definitely wanted to get into AI at some point, but we can talk about it now. And I would say that's really been the fundamental basis for our hypothesis about the importance of scoping. Is what we realized, because we started out in field documentation, let's capture the ground truth of the loss. Let's just know everything that happened. And again, we're trying to make it better. But you mentioned video, so we support video. We're creating audio notes now, like where you're just basically using your phone as a tape recorder, so you can just walk around, stream of consciousness, not worrying about what you're saying. Like that's the great thing about AI. You could say anything you want. I even tell people, because this would help me, you could even swear. Like, I don't know if that's just part of your vocab, if that's just the way you think. And I kind of do sometimes, especially if I'm in a loss. Um, AI will just completely filter it all out and just, get down to the salient points. But that is what really sort of kicked off this line of thinking for us is we've got all of the, you've got all, if you do a good job collecting the data, you've got all the components you need to drive AI. And if you're just jumping to line items, you're missing some of that. So, I don't know, can you, in your
I
experience,
think, well, here's what we found, and this is what we found 25 years ago, okay, was that the talent set that walks the loss and the talent set that writes the loss are very different. We found that people that like to sit behind a desk for 50 hours a week are not the same people that like to always see something different walking into another loss and another loss and another loss. It's exciting for that person that walks the loss, and the person behind the desk, that is utterly boring to them because they've in fact think in line items. Right. So when we separated those, what we could actually do is we could have a less experienced inspector that had better social skills.
Because of the
and I don't think that, and I don't want to discount that, having somebody with great social skills, so they're really good at dealing with the insured, right, that has good knowledge about how to assess damage, could produce a set of videos and audio even before we were using AI that could better inform an estimate than we could with any scope sheet. And we've been doing that for decades. And only recently have we been able to take that. We used to have a person, and the person was called Scopes. Send it to Scopes. So that every time this data came in, somebody would digest it and then write up that scope. But with the AI, we've basically been able to remove that and actually build a much better product going out because the data is so much more robust. Jeff, I'd also tell you this, that as everybody's moving towards this, whether they're using your app or any other, okay, when you're talking a loss while you're walking it, I want you to walk it and talk it like you're talking to a 12-year-old. And this is the reason why. You can direct a 12-year-old to do almost anything, but you have to direct them. They're not very good at coming up with their own stuff. And so When you walk in a room, you say, I'm walking in the master bedroom. On the west wall, I see this. You talk like that, as opposed to just saying, "Oh, I see something up there." Okay. You talk like you're just having a conversation, but you're having it very deliberately, because that will generate something that's so magical on the back end that it makes your product so much better. You know, Jeff, I'll give you an example. If I took a bunch of line item estimators and I put them in a bunch of losses, and they wrote a lot of losses, there would be very few that that interviewed the insured to find out that the HOA doesn't let you start your work till 9 a.m. and wants you out at 4. They wouldn't realize that the dumpster has to live on the street, or we can't have a dumpster here and we have to live load it once a day. We didn't notice that we have a real hard time getting to this particular location because there's no side yard. We have to go through the building and carry debris through the building. Those are things that affect the cost of loss, and we can always explain that to like a carrier, and a carrier understands that, but they don't understand it if you don't tell them. And when you tell the narrative at the front of this process, and imagine just how magic this is. You've pulled this data with video and audio. You've pulled it into being a good outline for an estimate, and you've created a narrative that helps you communicate with everybody, and all because you did one thing really right. One thing.